What? Whoa. Why I forgot to switch that on. How's it going, chat? It is Monday. Happy Monday. And welcome to News for People That Have a Job. Man, is my hair big. Give me 1 second. I have been racing around trying to get this ready. Today is an insane day. Yeah, how's everybody doing? It's post-election results. They're still coming in. Jules, I see you. How you doing? How you doing? So a reality TV star who got famous for being a villain on The Hills almost became the person deciding what happens to your rent. He lost his house in the Palisades fire, announced his campaign 1 year later at the anniversary of the fire, and somehow got prominent Democrats to back him over a prominent tenant rights organizer in her own regard who's been trying to cap your rent for the last 5 years. And that is not a bit, because that actually happened in Los Angeles June 2nd. And then the mail-in ballots came in. How's it going, Jules? I'm doing really, really good. It's been an insane weekend. And by insane, I mean Spencer Pratt almost became our mayor. Okay. Before we get off to what is shaping up to be a very unhinged week, we have to do the thing. And if you've been here before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't been here before, you're about to be extremely confused. We shall begin. You'll learn it as we go. Praise be the node. May our bit rate be stable. Our frames never drop. Hands together, chat. May the cold, unfeeling data centers that govern our digital reach look up on us with favor. The node provides. May our thumbnails be clicked. May our titles be searched. And may the engagement metrics flow like a river to the sea. Let it flow. And so we offer to the node our watch time, our follows, our subs. We ask only one thing in return: that tonight's stream be blessed with good vibes and absolutely zero buffering, and praise be zero copyright strikes. Thank you so much. The node has spoken. You can repeat that after me. So you may open your eyes. The ceremony is complete. Let us get into it. Come on, Node. Node's been really chill for a while. I probably shouldn't talk about it. I'm going to jinx it. But the Node has been surprisingly not angry. So besties, welcome in everyone. We still haven't had anybody claim first in chat either. This is a slow start to a rather jam-packed Monday, so I'm actually really surprised. It is 4:00. You're watching News for People That Have a Job, political and housing news broken down for you, for working people who do not have time to doom scroll for 6 hours. I have 5 stories for you tonight, because the world did not take off over the weekend. And so here's what we're covering. 1, we've got the LA mayoral primary, and the results are still coming in now. Like actually literally now. I think we're expecting another drop from the batch counting. We might get a live count update during this stream. So stay locked in. 2, the Iran nuclear deal, or lack thereof. It is a preliminary agreement that is allegedly sitting on Trump's desk. It might be the most significant diplomatic development in years. I also heard things. We'll talk about it. 3, the California governor's race. It features a billionaire, a Trump ally, and a Biden-era establishment Democrat. Take a guess which one represents working class people. I bet you won't get it right. And then 4, ICE. 73,000 people are in detention. 73% with no criminal conviction. We're going to do the class analysis on that. And then 5, we've got a lightning round on trans rights and AI accountability. Both of them took hits this week. So grab something to drink. Let's go. First off, real quick, the stream is brought to you by the coffee keeping me functional on this Monday. It's been a really early day. It's been a really long day. But Stone Street Coffee, which is a small batch, specially roasted, actually good coffee, link is at jamiedelphine.com/deals. So if you're watching on your lunch break, this is your sign. If it's your dinner, I don't know. I got people that work at night that watch this one. You can check all the deals that I have at jamiedelphine.com/deals. So be sure to check all those out. Everything on there supports the stream. So story number 1. Okay, June 2nd was the LA mayoral primary. And top 2 vote getters, they go to the November runoff. That's our system for... It's crap. We need to change it. Here is where things stood on election night. Karen Bass, the incumbent mayor, was in first. No surprise there. And Spencer Pratt, yeah, that Spencer Pratt. The Hills guy. The Spidey guy. Do you remember that one? He was in second. Ahead of every actual politician in the race. Some prominent Democrats crossed the aisle to back him. The vibe was outsider energy, fire victim, name recognition, Republicans who do not usually vote in municipal elections showing up. And then the mail-in ballots started dropping, besties. As of this morning, June 8th, Karen Bass is at 35%. She's in. She's confirmed she will be going to the November runoff. Nithya Raman, 27.1%. Just past Pratt. And Spencer Pratt is sitting at like 26.9%. Like, there's about 3,000 votes separating them, and I think it was even closer than that last I looked. We are going to double check that in just a bit. Is anybody refreshing the registrar in chat? Please drop the numbers if you do see an update. We are expecting the new count. It's supposed to be between 4 and 5 p.m. today, which is literally right now. So I'm going to just keep updating that count. Let's see the LA City Registrar. Trying to see. There's just so much on the gap. It's really hard. Okay, I don't want to waste too much time looking at this. Seriously, I need to get on that though. I don't have the count. All I have is news updates, and I would rather have the actual registrar up, and I literally cannot find the registrar link. I found the county one. Figured the county was covering it, and the county one doesn't have the mayor count on it, which is weird. What's the official count? Okay, sorry. I said I'm not going to take too much time on this, and then I did. ADHD in action. All right. The next story, by the way, let me know, like, who did you vote for? Who are you going to vote for in the runoff? I made my recommendation. I recommended Ray Huang. In this runoff, it really, for me, depends on what I see between now and the runoff. And let me explain. The question for November is Bass. It's not, well, I guess the question for November is it going to be Bass versus like a TV villain, or Bass versus like a DSA member who spent like 6 years literally fighting for your rent. So that's the question. For me, let me tell you who Nithya actually is. And then I'm going to tell you what the housing justice movement is actually saying about her, because that matters too. So she is the city council member to District 4. She's an urban planner by training. She's been DSA endorsed on the council since 2020. In November 2025, her motion passed to cap rent increases on rent stabilized apartments at 4% annually. That was the first major change to the rent stabilization ordinance in 40 years. So those apartments house nearly half of all of Angelenos. That's half. So she also authored the anti-tenant, or the tenant anti-harassment ordinance, rather, which is actually like a right to counsel legislation for tenants who are facing eviction. She's been the loudest voice on the council pushing for social housing, which I really appreciate. Permanently affordable housing where tenants have governance power. And that's the Vienna model. I've been shouting from the rooftops about the Vienna model since I was on the neighborhood council. So Paris model, not a foreign concept. This is just something LA has not tried yet. So when people say ramen came from behind, I need everyone to understand what that means. The organized voters, the tenant unions, the labor. They went for the person who's been fighting for them. And that is real, and it matters, because a lot of the housing justice organizers, myself included, were in Ray's camp. There was a lot of people that, would argue she was the only progressive mayoral candidate in the race. There were people that felt that passionately about it. I heard that stated on multiple occasions. Sorry, I'm fishing around for this count. If anybody has a link, please drop it, because I'm trying to fish it while I'm talking to y'all. These are all okay. Here's the sheriff. That's county, board of county. Where is the mayor? LA mayoral official count. That's all I want. Why is that not readily available? I mean, I've got CNN. Oh, you're fine. I'm just happy you're here. I'm happy. Anytime you spend in my stream, Crazy Dad, is an amazing time. Anytime that you've chosen to spend in my stream, I appreciate it. I don't expect you to be here. I'm just super grateful that you choose to be. Thank you so much. As you know, you're one of the realest OGs, one of the longest supporters, and I think your stream count's probably about to break my stuff. So thanks for being here. No, you deserve it. You're a real one, consistently here every day. And by the way, I don't think anybody's claimed first in chat yet. Wink, wink. What's up, Budgie Panda Turtle? What you doing? Okay, here it is. I see CNN's count. CNN has Spencer Pratt a little less than 3,000 votes. A little less. I don't know how updated this is. 7:55 ET. 567. That doesn't make sense. June 7th? Oh, it was updated yesterday. Okay. So he was 3,000 away yesterday. We are literally waiting to see who's going to be running against Bass right now. It could be any second. So please excuse me if I seem extremely distracted as I refresh and try to figure out just who's going to be running off against Bass. Whether it's going to be an actual tenants organizer or a fucking reality star. Seriously. So here's the accountability check. that the housing justice movement is actually having right now. And I'm not going to skip this because this is really important to me. It is a part of Jamie's Big Three, which I have not really mentioned much on stream. I went over it on my debate this past Friday, which is now an episode of a podcast that you can you can watch on Spotify, Apple, and iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcasts. You can check me out. I debated a Trump voter for 2 hours. Feel free to check that out. Now, social housing is one of Jamie's Big Three, and Raman in January 2026, she introduced a motion to amend Measure ULA. And if you've watched the stream for any length of time, you've heard me mention Measure ULA, and you'll hear me mention it again and again and again. I was actually just recently quoted by the LA Public Press. They asked me about Raman in the election, and pretty much the only thing that they quoted me on was Measure ULA, like preserving Measure ULA is like the deciding factor for me. That's the most important thing to me. That's what's going to get my vote. Now the problem is Raman introduced a motion to amend Measure ULA, which is the mansion tax that LA voters passed in 2022 to fund affordable housing. And her proposed amendments would have created 15-year carve-outs from the tax for commercial developers. And the studies that we saw estimated it would actually hand $177 million back to the real estate industry. And that's funding that would have gone otherwise into this amount. What? Thanks for the primer. Happy 14 months. So, council chambers, like, how do I say this? People turned out. Like, people turned up and turned out. Like, they packed the council chambers. ULA supporters showed up to oppose this motion. That was SAGE, which is the Strategic Actions for a Just Economy, was there, and they're huge in the game. And they called it rushed and poorly considered. So take for that what you will. They accused her of caving to the real estate lobby. Joe Donlan, who is actually the director of United to House LA, called the reform a boogeyman used to hand tax breaks to developers. So the council ultimately rejected putting her amendments on the June ballot. And besties, that's a real breach of trust. Like, the people who built the housing justice infrastructure that Raman's career depends on were not in the room when she tried to rewrite it. Like, imagine. So there's also the Bureau of Homelessness Oversight, and I'm nitpicking. I'm going to nitpick because I can. I'm one of them leftists that just complains. And Raman championed the Bureau of Homelessness Oversight. Like, the council passed it. And nearly a year later, 0 staff has been hired for that bureau. Not one. Now, Raman has said this publicly herself, which is notable because she chairs the committee. Now, none of this means Raman is the same as Bass or Pratt. She's not. Her tenant rights record's real. It is documented. But the housing justice movement is sending her a message. Governing with us is not optional. If you want our votes in November, and you do, you need to show us that you hear that. So participate in the oversight committees you created. Consult the people that made the commitments to, before you try to amend the measures that they built, you need to check with them. So do the thing. That's my rant. So chat, are you in LA? Does the ULA situation change how you see Nithya Raman? Does that matter to you in November? Let me know in chat. Let me know in the comments. I'd really like to know what y'all think because I'm deep in this one. This is like TV, like people watch Real Housewives the way that I watch LA housing politics. It's just how I am. My question is like, are you in Los Angeles? Are you familiar with Measure ULA? Does the Measure ULA situation change how you see the mayor's race? Who did you vote for in the mayor's race? Oh, you're not in LA. Mm. We've got some drama. And who else? What else should we talk about? We've got California statewide governor's race that is currently being led by Javier Becerra, who is a extremely corporate Democrat. And also I guess the runoff is going to go up against Tom Steyer, the billionaire, who is kind of progressive. Hassan's on his team, which I couldn't believe, but hey, I think last I heard he was telling him that he should be the Ingalls to the movement and he needs to start funding shit, that's kind of dope. So here's the class analysis, y'all. If y'all are ready for this is the tea. Y'all want the breakdown? I'm gonna get down to the nuts and the bolts. So here's what this race is actually about. Here's why I give a shit, and this is why you should give a shit too. This is one of the biggest cities in the entire country, if not the world. And Spencer Pratt ran as an outsider. He lost his home in the Palisades fire. I am not dismissing the real pain there. But what did his candidacy represent politically? He's a registered Republican who got prominent Democrats to back him. His whole pitch was that Bass failed the fire response. The establishment failed us. Send in a celebrity. That is real political energy. People feel failed by institutions. That part is not wrong. But here's the question. Who does he answer to? Celebrity outsider candidates answer to donors. Donors in LA real estate are not your friends if you're a renter. So Rahman answers to a different base. Tenant unions, labor, the people who've been at City Hall for years pushing for rent control and a right to counsel, social housing. That's who turned out in the mail-in ballots for her. Now, Karen Bass, real housing wins. 30,000 new homes moving forward under the CHIP. That's the Citywide Housing Incentive Program. She's got the biggest local rezoning program in the country. That she's got street homelessness down by 18%. That's something I want to point out. That's a real stat. 2 consecutive years of decline. And that's the first time in LA history. So those numbers are real. That all sounds great. But CHIP is a market rate and mixed income program. It cuts red tape for private developers, which is faster, yes. But the housing being built is not automatically affordable to the people who need it most, people that have a job. So if Rahman holds, November's a genuine choice for y'all. And if you believe in the path to housing stability, and if you think that runs through development of private firms without affordability requirements, I've got a bridge in Brooklyn to sell you. Because I think it runs through tenant power, rent caps, and social housing. And you're going to be hearing about that again and again and again, I promise. So, the Measure ULA episode matters in this debate. That's the debate worth having. A Rahman Bass runoff forces that debate. So the question's not just who Rahman has been as a council member, it's who will she be as mayor. The record says one thing. The January amendments say, watch carefully. Hold her to what she committed to. The housing justice movement is already doing that. That is also what an organized left looks like. So if you are in LA, who did you vote for and why? And from outside LA, what does this race remind you of in your city? Is there anything going on locally that this brings to mind? Let me know in chat. Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear about it because it's probably something that affects all of us. I really would like to chat because like everyone needs housing. Like literally everyone. And in LA, we've been like slugging it out. Like there've been so many times that I'll get an email or a text that's like, they're trying to do something to ULA. Quick, everybody get to the city hall. And it's like everybody shows up for the meetings and packs and makes public comment. It's just like it shouldn't be this hard. And it feels like we're really, really fighting here. And it feels like the people that we put up in power that are supposed to be working with us are trying to take off without us. Does anybody have anything like this going on in their neck of the woods? Because this is just, it's a lot. It's honestly a lot. I literally gave public comment where I went in front of like a packed council chamber of hundreds of people. And I'm like, Measure ULA is under attack and we need to defend it because they keep trying to cut it. All right. If y'all are gonna, y'all let me know your political tea. I want to hear it. I give a shit. I want to hear it, and I want to help you. This offer goes to anybody. I've had a few people reach out to me recently. If you ever have any kind of issue regarding renting or tenants' rights, please reach out to me. I have the unique experience of being someone who's been in the housing movement, who has also served as like, I was an asset manager, essentially like a resident manager. I was like a apartment manager. I served the same function. I went to the same trainings. I know the same laws and I know what they're supposed to do. And I know some of the things that they'll tell people that they have to do that quite honestly is their responsibility. Somebody just reached out to me about a pest control issue that they were trying to charge the tenant, and pest control is a habitability issue. Pest control is the expense of the building unless they can beyond like a shadow of a doubt prove that you caused it. And honestly, I'm not a lawyer, this isn't legal advice, but that's pretty much fucking impossible. So make sure you know your rights, and if you need to double check your tenant's rights, please reach out. So taking a second, I'm gonna be real, chat. I'm gonna be real. I gotta talk about my Zennies, because if anybody knows about my Zennies, you know that they changed my life. Because if you've been putting off getting any kind of prescription lenses because of what the eye doctor charges, like $300 for plastic, you gotta check out jamiedelphine.com/deals and click the Zenny link, because their frames start at $6.95. That's $6.95. I said what I said. So this next story is real. It's about to get super duper real in chat. So I hope y'all are ready for it. Apologies for the cortisol I'm about to induce. Story 2, and this one's actually big. The United States and Iran have been negotiating, not just talking. They have a preliminary memorandum of understanding. A ceasefire extension memo was signed on May 28th. They agreed to extend the ceasefire for 60 days and start formal nuclear negotiations. It is sitting on Trump's desk waiting for his signature. The deal as it stands is that Iran commits to a moratorium on nuclear enrichment. In exchange, it wants $24 billion in Iranian assets the United States has been holding frozen to be released. Open questions remain about the uranium stockpiles, what happens in Lebanon, and whether this becomes a permanent peace framework or just a pause. Here is the class analysis. I want you to sit with this. Wars are expensive. Not for defense contractors, for everyone else. The people paying the cost of U.S. military presence in the Middle East for the last 3 decades are working people that we pay in taxes, and their kids being deployed, and oil prices that spike every single time there's a crisis, and the domestic priorities that never get funded because the Pentagon budget keeps going up. A nuclear deal with Iran is not perfect. And this administration has done enormous damage to its credibility as a negotiating partner. Iran's government is not a good actor, but a de-escalation that pulls back from a potential war with a country of 90 million people is, on balance, better for working people than the alternative. The wrinkle is that Iran's supreme leader, Khamenei, declared on June 2nd that U.S. military bases in the Middle East are no longer safe. That's a hardening position while negotiations are supposedly happening. This deal could fall apart before it's signed. And Polymarket has the odds of a deal by June 30th at roughly 50-50. Gross. Watch this space. So what do you think, chat? Does Trump sign this? Does it fall apart? Do you think he's going to announce that it's done before it's actually done? Because that's what I expect. Cortisol spiked. So the next story is about California also had a governor's primary on June 2nd. That's what I was just talking about a minute ago. And the result is kind of a perfect encapsulation of where we are as a nation. Javier Becerra is advancing to the general election. That's Biden's HHS secretary. Democrat. First place. Fighting for second, Steve Hilton. He's a Republican businessman. He's a former Fox News host. He's Trump-backed. And Tom Steyer, a billionaire Democrat who put $215 million of his own money into his campaign. That's $215 million of his own money into his campaign. $215 million of one man's own personal fortune to become governor of a state where 1 in 10 people cannot afford rent. As of this morning, Hilton was at 26%. Steyer was at 22%, with about 95,000 votes separating them. I'm now looking at an update from CNN that's showing Tom Steyer at 453,000 votes, 730, with Steve Hilton trailing at 375. If this holds, and I'm looking at the registrar's website, it looks like Becerra and Tom Steyer will be going head-to-head for the runoff in November. But in November, California could be choosing between a binary establishment Democrat and either a Trump ally or a billionaire who bought his way in. Neither second place option represents working class people. And this is what happens when working class power is not baked in structurally. You get the billionaire option, and then you get the other billionaire option. So, quick Iowa update. Josh Turek won the Democratic Senate nomination. Ashley Hinson won the GOP nomination. So I guess the Iowa Senate is a November race to watch as the Republicans and the Democrats continue to wreck the country. Oh, man. So, let's see here. Sent a news article from my neck of the woods. Happy to check it out. Once we wrap up with all the stories I prepared, we'll go ahead and pop into the Discord and we can check anything that anybody posts. Now, this is one I need you to stay with me on, because the numbers are not what they are being sold to you as. You've heard about the ICE raids, the crackdown on violent crimes and criminals, and the administration's been very loud about this. Here's the actual data. 73,000 people are currently in ICE detention right now. That's a record. An 84% increase since January 25. January 2025. That's the highest number this agency has ever held. And here's who those people actually are. 73% of people arrested and detained in fiscal year 2026 have no criminal conviction. Not no violent conviction, no conviction at all. 92% of the growth in ICE detention are people with no criminal convictions. 5% of ICE detainees have violent convictions. 5%. So the story you were sold, we are going after dangerous criminals. The reality is we're detaining working people, workers, parents, people who've been in this country for years, paying taxes, going to work, raising families. Many of them have been trying to become citizens for years. And when you can threaten workers with deportation if they complain about wages, if they try to organize, if they push back against unsafe conditions, you suppress wages for everyone. Not just undocumented workers. For citizens too, because the boss knows some of your coworkers cannot afford to speak up. So therefore, why would they give anything to you? This is not a public safety operation. The numbers do not support that framing. It is a labor suppression operation dressed up as law enforcement. I'm just calling it like I see it. And working people across the political spectrum are paying the price. So tell me in chat, is ICE active in your area? What are you seeing around? Let me know in the comments. because we just had an abduction where I'm living now, like last week. It's not over. It's been over a year. We just had the anniversary on the 6th. All right. We're going to go ahead and go into what I'm going to call the lightning round. So, two more going faster so we can get to the recap. And then after the recap, I don't know if y'all are noticing, I've slowly been building a format. News is now like an hour. I do a recap and then we take a break. And then we'll be back for just chatting your news articles and whatever y'all want to talk about for an hour. So, two more going faster so we can get to the recap. The federal assault on trans people is accelerating. The ACLU is tracking over 400 anti-trans bills in 2026. At the federal level, appropriations bills are defunding gender-affirming care. Democrats introduced Senate Resolution 604, a transgender Bill of Rights, in February. It would codify rights to health care, shelter, safety, and economic security, and it has zero chance of passing the Senate. The class analysis is that trans people are working people. When you cannot access health care, when you cannot safely use the restroom at your job, when you can be fired for who you are, those are material harms. They affect your ability to work, to pay rent, or to survive. And trans rights are workers' rights. Trans rights are human rights. The framing that separates trans people from everyone else is not accidental. So real quick on AI, Colorado passed what was going to be the strongest AI consumer protection law in the country. It required companies to disclose when AI was making consequential decisions about your housing application, your job application, your loan, anything like that. And the governor signed a bill in May gutting it and pushing it, like the effective date, to January 2027 with dramatically weaker requirements. So AI is making decisions whether you get housing. AI is making decisions whether you get a job. AI is making decisions whether you get credit. And the law that was going to require transparency about that got neutered before it ever went into effect. Who lobbied against it? The companies whose AI systems are making those decisions. We will keep watching this. Let me know if this scares you. I'd love to hear about anything you know to fight back in the comments. Let's see. I hadn't seen anything in a while, but was very proud during the protest, seeing every bridge on my way home have anti-ice signs, especially in small towns. Right on, right on. I took the weekend off. I actually did not go out and cover anything. I've been really like just stressed lately, especially I need to find another just regular job. And if I can find just another regular job, I'm going to keep grinding on this. I was hoping to get into the housing industry. I want to get back into the housing industry. I'm like that meme with or Eric Andre outside the White House. He's like, "Let me in." I'm just trying to get another job back in affordable housing or nonprofit stuff. I want to get back to managing assets, but I'm about to start just looking for something because I want to keep doing this. This took so long to get where I feel like I'm actually kind of like starting to gain ground. Yeah, also in Texas. That's sick, honestly. I love to hear it. Love to hear it. What's going on with that LA mayor vote count? Pratt's still hopeful. I don't see a drop. There's no drop notification. It's supposed to be like now. So, fingers crossed. There's so many different places to get the vote count. I try to find. Why is it not on the LA County? Why is the LA mayor race not on the LA County registrar? I should know this. So I'm going to look it up. Okay. This answers my question. California Secretary of State. Wait. Um, I don't understand. Not me refusing to use the AI mode on the Google search. I just want to find somewhere. Okay, I think I found it. It's supposed to be on the county registrar site. I just want to check. Hold on. Am I missing a tab or something? There's the controller. Oh, here it is. Nominating election mayor. Oh my God. It was here. I am a dunce. It's because it says Los Angeles primary nominating election mayor. Oh shoot. It is really close. Here, look at this. Wait, I don't have a window? Use this Steam. Boop. Check this out. Here's the current count. As you can see, the top three right there. Got Karen Bass, 34%. Nithya Raman, 28. Spencer, 25. So that's 229 versus 207. That's a big ass jump. That's a big ass jump. He's not coming back from that. There's no way. This must have just hit. Did they just do an update? Results as of 448. Yeah, this is the... Spencer Pratt is not coming back from this. Chat, I'm going to go ahead and call it live. This is a live election update coming from Los Angeles in the mayor's race. Oh my goodness gracious. Chat, you heard it here first. I'm announcing it live. We're going to clip this right after we get out of here and get this up right now. As of the 448 ballot drop, Nithya Raman has jumped out front with 28.55%, and Spencer Pratt is now down to 25.83%. I would say Nithya has this thing in the bag. Spencer Pratt no longer has a chance. Goodbye, Spidey. Happy to say goodbye. By the way, Spencer Pratt, I know you announced that if you lost this election, you would be moving out of Los Angeles. And I just want to make myself available I'm available for free to help you pack. I'm an amazing organizer. I always write what room things are going to on the box. So I'll write kitchen on the box with all of the glasses and the dishes. I know how to do bubble wrap. I know how to fold boxes. I make myself available to you for free as a volunteer. Just reach out. I am super happy to help. Just let me know. I promise I'm available. I will clear my schedule for you. All right. Great news. Great news. All right. Cool. Before we take the break, um, this we're gonna hit a real quick recap. And this one's for the clip, y'all. This one's for the clip, and then we'll come back. Whatever y'all want to chat about, any local news that's going on around you. I'm really happy that we just caught that update. It literally just happened like 2 seconds ago. Okay, 1 minute, every story. Here we go. LA Mayor Karen Bass is going to November. Nithya Raman passed Spencer Pratt on mail-in ballots. And that is what organized tenant power looks like when it shows up. But the housing justice movement is also holding Raman accountable on Measure ULA and the oversight bureau she created and never staffed. Watch her closely. California Governor Becerra is advancing. Oh no, let's start this over, chat. Let's start this over. Okay. 1 minute, every story. Here we go. Oh, that was dumb. Let's try this. Let's do it like this. Let's do it like this. Very energy. You ready, chat? Hair to the side. Okay. 1 minute, every story. Here we go. On the LA mayor's race, Karen Bass is going to November. Nithya Raman passed Spencer Pratt on mail-in ballots. That is what organized tenant power looks like when it shows up. But the housing justice movement is also holding Raman accountable on Measure ULA and the oversight bureau she created and never staffed. Watch her closely. On the California governor's race, Javier Becerra is advancing, and second place is still between a Trump-backed Fox News host and a billionaire who spent $215 million of his own money. California has a choice to make. On Iran, the preliminary deal is on the table. Ceasefire extension, nuclear talks, $24 billion in frozen assets. Trump has not signed it. Khomeini is already walking it back. Watch this one. On ICE, 73,000 people are in detention. 73% have no criminal conviction. 92% of the growth is people with no record. This is not a public safety operation. This is a labor suppression operation. On trans rights, there are now 400 plus anti-trans bills in 2026. Federal defunding of healthcare. A transgender bill of rights with no path to passage. Trans rights are workers' rights. On AI, the strongest AI accountability law in the country got gutted before it went into effect. Companies will keep using AI to make decisions about your housing and your job. And you're not going to know about it. That's the week. You're caught up. You have a job to get to. You're welcome. That's the week. You're caught up. You have a job to get to. So you're welcome. I'm going to probably use that. There we go. Cool. All right, we got our clips in, besties. That was it. That was the news for people with a job. 5 stories in under an hour. I'm going to take it. Sources in the Discord for everything that we covered. For anybody that wants to check the citations, everything's always linked in news clips in the Discord. Links to all the housing justice orgs that I mentioned. By the way, I've got an announcement to make. A Substack newsletter is going to drop tomorrow. And I'm still working on it, but I'm planning to get that going every week from now on. I'm going to be getting a Substack out called You're Never Gonna Guess News for People with a Job. So we're going to get that going very soon, very soon, very soon. That link, if you want to follow it, is just jamiedelphine.substack.com. So feel free to follow it. Nothing's up yet. We're going to get it going. I'm still in I'm a project manager by trade, and I built some operational documents, like basically just like what's called like a standard operating procedure is like the term SOP for anybody that's in any kind of management or executive level operations. Uh, I have SOPs and I made a whole OS for my brand. I know I'm a dork, I'm a nerd, but it helps my executive dysfunction with my ADHD. But we're gonna get the Substack going. I had so much I was working on today, I didn't get a chance to launch it, but it's gonna start being a recap of news for people that have a job every week. It's going to come out on Tuesday. So if you want to watch news for people that have a job live, that'll be on Monday. And then I'll get the Substack out on Tuesday, just to sort of recap, just sort of in text format of everything that I talked about. That drops tomorrow. So hit follow, share the stream with someone that needs to be here, tell a coworker. We're going to take a break. It's going to be about like 5-10 minutes, just a bio break. Go get you some water, stretch your legs, grab a snack. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back, and we're going to talk about news that's happening close to you. What's up? Why is my stream deck not working? I got some weird little buggies in the system right now. I don't know what's going on. All right, now everything's working. I guess it updated. You have to open the application after an update. For some reason, the buttons don't show. Anyways, hey Chad, how's everybody doing? I'm gonna take a peek at what Crazy Dad threw in the Discord. We've got news clips. Talarico. Oh, is this that local race that's going on over there? I was wanting to hear about what's going on with this. Talarico says Paxton is clipping my cringy comments to distract from his career of corruption. Um. Okay, so yeah, let's read this. This looks like some tea, and this is pretty important. I know I'm not one to ever support a Democrat, but kind of like this is a pretty big race. Uh, with everything that's going on. Texas State Rep James Talarico, Democratic nominee for U.S. Senator in the Lone Star State, conceded that some past statements during debates over transgender policy missed the mark. Oh, shit. But he accused Republican opponent of Ken Paxton of intentionally clipping the cringy comments to distract from his career of corruption. So, I mean, what did he say? I mean, I'm showing. He's like talking about everyone's getting screwed. He's the Democratic nominee. I mean, here's the thing: we're all getting screwed. None of us can afford anything because none of us can get ahead, no matter how hard we work. That's because the system, this political system, and economic system, are rigged against us. It's been rigged for 50 years by billionaire mega donors and their puppet politicians like Ken Paxton. So even the Democratic nominee for Texas is dishing up the exact same shit that I'm telling y'all. I just want to point that out. The Democratic nominee of the blue team is saying the same thing that I say. I just want to point that out. He argued that corruption's the central problem in our country right now. I don't agree. I think it's just money. Money and politics are synonymous now. You cannot participate in politics unless you fundraise. That's a problem. I think we're living in an era of corruption. I don't mean just illegal activity. I mean, sure, Talarico, it's expected to be the most expensive. That makes sense. He hopes to defeat him by adding Cornyn supporters. I guess that's another person that probably fell out of the race. Blah, 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 blah. Faced intense criticism. Talarico, he's a Presbyterian Sumerian who calls himself a progressive Christian. He's made comments about veganism and gender. Pressed on a comment he made that God is non-binary, Talarico said he was being intentionally provocative, but added that what it means is that God can't be identified by human categories. On his comments about gender, Talarico said, I know there are two sexes, men and women. I also know there's a very small percentage of people who have these chromosomal abnormalities, and I believe they deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. What? Okay, men and women. Okay, there are two sexes, has nothing to do with men and women. Men and women can be any sex. Sorry, James, you're not winning my vote with that one. Good thing I don't live there. Asked by O'Keefe about the criticism surrounding his diet, Talarico said he's not a vegan, noting he's an eighth generation Texan who's been eating barbecue since before Ken Paxton's first indictment. Oh, that was good. If all they have is lying about me being a vegan, I feel pretty good about our chances this November. I mean, good luck. I mean, a Democrat, I guess, is not a Republican, but I mean, that is their whole and entire platform. Let me know when there's a socialist who's running in Texas. Cornyn was the Republican against Paxton. Wait, against Paxton? So he was a Republican against Paxton? And this guy's Talarico, a Democrat's counting on Cornyn's votes? Interesting. We both still believe these positions of public trust should be about serving our neighbors, not serving ourselves, Talarico said. And so, to any of Senator Cornyn's supporters who still believe in that old fashioned idea of service, I want them to know they have a place in our campaign. None of them are going to vote for a Democrat. They treat politics like it's a football game. And you ain't wearing the right hat. And you can clip me on that one. Yeah, unfortunately, we're waiting on Democrats to save us still. And we know that's not what Democrats do. Um, that was fun. I like that one. That was a good story. What else y'all got? Anybody have any questions about housing stuff? We are coming up on the 75% done with the stream percentage of completion. By the way, we are halfway done with our sub goals. Thank you so much to Crazy Dad for being a subscriber. Um, you've subscribed for 14 months, Crazy Dad, and I appreciate that level of support. I think you might be the longest subscribed person that the channel's ever had. So you probably have the coolest subscriber badge that anyone has ever had. So if anybody wants to see that dope as fuck Gym Planet badge that Sophion made for us like a year ago, I don't think anybody else has had that. I think you're one of the first people to have the 1 year badge. I might have to make more badges now. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know if I have a badge after that. I might have to. Oh wait, no. I have more after that. Yeah, that's the swirly tie-dye planet. You haven't gotten to the gym planets yet. There are still a couple more. Um, Now you got me wanting to look. Now I gotta look at the badges. Um, so oh, I can make other badges. I can make event badges. Did you know that I can make event badges now? I didn't know that I could make event badges. Apparently, I can now make event badges. Okay, now I need to find where's the subscriber badges. I can't find them. Okay, so apparently, if I have an event, I can get a custom made badge for that event, and then y'all can actually use the badge. It'll only show up in my channel, but you can use the badge as your badge. So, like how you have the NASA badge right now, you can have an event badge for a special event. Ooh, nice. Yeah, I didn't know that. Um, and then we're still doing the community cosplay challenge. I'm not going to mark that as complete until it's done. But I'm trying to find where I have. Where is the subscriber badges? Subscriber badges, found them. Okay. Oh, you're not going to believe this shit. Crazy Dad, I have badges all the way through 3.5 years. I've, I've got base 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 1 year, 1.5 years, 2 years, 2.5 years, 3 years, which that one's really fucking cool, and then 3.5 years. I'm gonna need to hit up, and then I have custom flare. I don't know if y'all know that, but you can add flare when you get to level 2 and 3 subs instead of just the tier 1. You actually can get custom flare. There's a tier 1 custom, or I'm sorry, the tier 2 custom flare, which is like a little star, and that just gets added to your subscriber badge. And if you're a tier 3, it's actually a little helmet that has like cat ears built into the astronaut helmet, and that gets put onto your subscriber badge. I don't think I ever mentioned that. I have custom badges through 3.5 years. We have custom flare. I just did all of this shit. Like, everybody always announces, like, oh, we're going to do this and I'm going to add this to my channel. When I started, I just did everything and then just started making content. And I never really made content about the badges like a lot of streamers do. And I never really made a lot of content about the events that I was doing, which I'm learning was a mistake. I would just schedule these events and then just do the events. You need to do content leading up to the events so people see how much effort the events take, because that's important. There's a raid train coming up soon that I'm a part of. For anybody that isn't aware, I'm going to be a stop on the Twitch Pride Guild raid train on the 24th, which is 2 weeks from now, on Wednesday. So be sure to be here to help the channel celebrate Pride. So definitely, oh snap. Also, if you haven't seen the new shirt, we have a new shirt for Pride Month. For anybody that hasn't seen the new shirt, oh wait, that's the wrong link because my name has changed. Hold on. That's funny. I need to update that. And the Streamlab. There we go. So, anybody that hasn't seen the shirt, I want to show you all the shirt. So, this is a Pride Month exclusive. This is only available this month. Created by the merch company for the month of June for Pride Month. The shirt says, "Don't threaten me with a gay time." And then they're in like sort of like a Dungeons and Dragons party kind of format. Available in many, many colors. Really cool design. Their artist just went off when they made this. It's one of the it is definitely like my favorite piece of merch in the store right now. So for the Pride Month, get your Pride tee. Supports the channel. Don't threaten me with a gay time. All proceeds actually will benefit the Trevor Project. So I'm really happy to say, 15% from every single shirt that sells will benefit the Trevor Project. And the design's only available until June 30th. So get your shirt while you can. Limited edition shirt, limited time shirt, Pride Month only. Help support a good cause. If you don't know about the Trevor Project, They help trans youth. They also have like it was like a hotline for like mental health crises. Wonderful organization. I know they're going through some stuff and they could use all the money they could to maneuver and navigate. So help them out if you can. Buy a shirt or just help them out. You don't have to buy the shirt. It'd be cool to have the shirt. Um, if y'all haven't yet looked into who you're voting for, I do implore you to please look into who's available locally. Um, support third party candidates. Look up your local PSL. If you don't have a PSL, look into your local DSA. Yes, I'm saying it. Not a fan. Had really, really bad experiences with them. But, they're kind of some of the only people that are trying to help in some places. There are usually better options, especially in major cities. But in some places there aren't. So gotta work with who's like share class with locally. As socialists, we should be organizing with who we share a class with locally. You can quote me on that. And that's like literally what we should be doing. So be sure to be doing that if you're not. Just like look into the local organizing that's going on. Anybody that's trying to challenge the Democratic Party is so fucking important right now. And anybody that's just telling you to vote blue no matter who is part of the problem. And anybody that's opposing Democrats openly isn't necessarily a bad guy. And I think we could win a lot of people over just being honest that the Democrats suck. I spent 2 hours debating a Trump voter last Friday, and we agreed on a lot of things. Not to say every Trump voter is redeemable. A lot of people voted for him for like racism, and those aren't people we can save. But there's a lot of Trump people who voted Trump just because they were pissed off at the system. And that's valid. I mean, I fucking hate Democrats. So, I mean, I can see, I mean, I lost friends. I had a friend. I can think of a very specific friendship of somebody I was like, I should just stop talking to this person. One, because they just didn't have a problem being a bad person. Like they would say things that hurt people's feelings and they found joy in it. And that was somebody I didn't want to know anymore. So they're no longer in my life. But one of the things that broke or started, that one of the straws that started to wear the camel's back was that he was very clear he was going to vote for Trump when before that he was supporting Bernie. And I was really confused. And it was mostly fueled by the fact that he hated the Democrats and he hated the corporate bullshit. And somehow, just like this gentleman I debated for 2 hours on Friday, he had gotten the message that Trump was going to hit the establishment like a meteor, or, they all believed that drain the swamp rhetoric. And after debating him for 2 hours, he was very honest, at least. He said he was ready to get off. He was like, I'm ready for this all to be over. Talking about the guy that I debated. I've never heard from the friend that I stopped talking to because he was honestly just an incendiary person. Aspiring comedian, incendiary person. I think that says enough for itself. Um, yeah, we're just we're full of a country of people that like most people don't even vote. And the reason why is this system. And I'm starting to question, like, at what point are we all going to band together, just the people that want to fix the system? Because that doesn't make anybody right or wrong. That's just all of us acknowledging that we have a shit system and it needs to be fixed. I propose, and I'd mentioned it earlier in the stream, and I mentioned it at the debate, and I'm going to be mentioning it more. I have come up with Jamie's big three. And the first part of Jamie's big three is social housing. I'm hardcore dedicated to the social housing movement. I have been for years. I put countless amounts of time, effort, and energy to supporting the movement, supporting the people that support the movement. Excuse me. And helping push that forward any way that I can. I think it's very, very important. It is a linchpin item. It is an aspect of human life that we have allowed to become a bargaining chip to be used against us. And any way we can get out from underneath that pressure is something we should absolutely do. No other country has it like this. No other country pays for this amount of housing out of their income. Social housing. It's so necessary because it'll at least start to tip the scales. Because people that are too busy working, that have to pay their rent, can't organize. The next thing of Jamie's big three, the second one, is ranked choice voting. And if you're not familiar with voting systems, this voting system that I just went over regarding the LA mayor's race, it's known as a jungle primary. That means everybody of every party, which we only have two, Democrat, Republican, I mean, I guess a few might have been marked independent, everybody gets to run. That's the jungle aspect of it. And then whoever the two candidates that get passed the most go to a runoff. Unless any of the candidates get more than 50% of the votes. If you get more than 50% of the votes, you win outright. There is no runoff. Now, this was developed initially because Arnold Schwarzenegger was the one who was telling everyone this was what we needed to stop these far right parties from being able to get any kind of candidate in our party. And Arnold Schwarzenegger sold it as a way of, basically keeping Nazis out of government positions in California. Now, what he didn't explain is that while this does stop those fringe parties on the right from getting it together and getting people in office, it also suppresses small independent on the left parties from being able to get their candidates into the race as well. And so this is where we find ourselves currently. We are currently in a jungle primary with corporate backed establishment Democrat that was quite literally brought to us down from above. She had a state office position. My nose is just like itching like crazy. I don't know what. Sorry, chat. Okay. That was a lot. Sorry. So she came down from above, Karen Bass, and she became the LA mayor. She was like the state politician. And now she's running off against a literal reality television person and a fairly progressive candidate who has done a lot of sus things. So what I propose, and this is the Jamie's big three moment, is ranked choice. And what ranked choice does is that allows you as the voter to go into the ballot box and rank the candidates. You say, this candidate's my first choice. This candidate's my second choice. This candidate's my third choice. You rank the choices. And after you rank the choices, they count all the votes for one slot and they count that as a race. And they see if anybody won. And if nobody's won, if nobody's past the threshold, which, is like an established marker to show that you have the majority of support, if nobody wins when we consider everyone's first ranked choice, we then go to everyone's second ranked choice. And that's kind of how that works. There's different systems of counting it. There's some that assign points to each column. I don't like that one because that one was used against me when I ran for steering committee of DSA. There's something called the Borta block. And that means that if everybody doesn't like a candidate, there's a candidate like an open communist running for DSA steering committee, everybody can put that candidate in the sixth slot. And that like deducts points from the total. And you can like tank a candidate if there's like a coordinated effort to do so. That happened to me. Ranked choice voting could definitely fix a lot of what's going on because people are afraid to vote for that third party candidate. And if you had a way to rank your votes and go in and vote for multiple people at once, you could say, you know what? I'm going to take a chance on that independent candidate. I'm going to go ahead and put, a radical candidate, a radical leftist in my one slot and just see if maybe that gets them past the line. And if not, then, then you get to go to the less radical one. You get to put in your two slot, your Nithya candidate that, is not that progressive as Ray. But since Ray didn't make it in the one slot, it would then go to Nithya. That's number two. That's number two of Jamie's big three. Number three, and I think this one's obvious based on one and two. Number three is a political party based on class. That's it. A workers' party, labor party, some kind of third party, something. Because if we had ranked choice and there's a third party, how fast do you think the Democrats would get their shit together? Pretty quickly. They'd at least stop giving up for the easy wins. Because a third party would then become leverage against this big fake opposition party. Well, I say fake opposition party. I meant fake opposition party. That's it. Jamie's big three: social housing, ranked choice voting, a class-based third party. If we had those three things, I think we could maybe start to make America less evil. But those are the tools that we would need. Because with like a ranked choice voting, we might be able to get in candidates that would help us slowly get rid of like Citizens United. And Citizens United should be one of the first targets. Getting rid of Citizens United is part of having a class-based third party. I don't think we'll be able to get a class-based third party until Citizens United's out of the way. It just doesn't make sense. One can't operate as long as Citizens United stands. So hopefully, and if you're not familiar with Citizens United, that was a court decision, FEC versus Citizens United, that essentially gave corporations the ability to make like limitless donations. They don't have to have a cap on their donations, which means a corporation will always be able to out donate to a candidate more than human beings. So therefore, corporations have no reason to listen to human beings over corporations because corporations can give them more money. And that's the world that we live in. All right. That's pretty much all I've got for this week. Unless anybody else has some more that they want to try to let's see. I had a weird notification from someone. Sorry. Somebody sent me a collaboration request while I was live. Um, It would seem better, my cynical side of me, knowing it would end up being fair. Fair, I mean. Yeah, I mean, ranked choice voting is something we should already have. If we're supposed to be one of the freest countries in the world, and yet we're only free to choose between two terrible choices of corporate owned parties, that's not freedom. That is an illusion of freedom. And unfortunately, that's what we defend. That's what we fight for. Is this half baked system? It's so half baked. It's so half baked, and we're so housebroken. I don't understand. I don't understand how the freest country in the world that was supposed to be like the good guys saving everybody ended up this bad. Like we didn't take any self assessment until like it was like the 70s. Was it like the 70s when we first started being like, hey, maybe this isn't good. Maybe we're not the good guys. Like 150 plus years into the experiment. And now we're like fighting tooth and nail. We're like, we have to stop doing this shit. And it's just so off and carried away and running. It's like, how do you stop a gas powered motor while it's running without losing a hand? I guess that's where we're at. This is like, it's like a giant V12 diesel motor that's just firing on all cylinders. And it's like, how do we as human beings stop this motor that's just absolutely going like full speed at this point? Golly, why is my nose like this? Ah, I don't know what. Um, oh man. And it's crazy, right? Cuz like these progressive candidates, you get a chance to see what's possible. Like hanging around these candidates, and when you're working on a campaign, which full transparency, I didn't this election. I did last elections. Um, but when you're working on a progressive campaign and you're surrounded by the progressive constituents and the progressive staff, obviously the progressive candidate, and you just get to see that like microcosm of like what's possible, and then to see them lose to these just establishment sponsored politicians, it's fucking heartbreaking. And I'm sure most people are changed by it. I'm sure a lot of people get jaded and just convince themselves they tried. And that's probably a big part of why we don't see a huge voter turnout. And if we could just change the system, we could just get something like ranked choice voting, then maybe we could start to try to tip the scales. Maybe we could stop pushing the, what is it, Sisyphus stone up the hill. Just maybe. So. Oh, thank you. Did you listen to it? Did you get a chance to listen to it? I'm going to try to do more. I don't have any guests lined up, is one thing that I realized. But that debate was just too good. And I was like, this is the first episode. This is exactly what I was hoping to cover. It was exactly the type of person I was hoping to debate. And it just fell into my lap. Like I did not plan it. It was a random TikTok debate. But I got to cover like all my points and all my notes and go over Jamie's big three. And it turned out to be a really good episode of a podcast. And so I pumped it out. If you get a chance to listen to it, it's worth checking out. I think so. I think it covers a lot of what went wrong. I'm 2/3 through it, but the guy sounds like my alcoholic brother, and it keeps giving me cringe. Yeah, I can't say the guy's not an alcoholic. Maybe it's your alcoholic brother. I don't know. But what I'm saying is he gave a very interesting perspective into a kind of person that I already knew existed. And it's people that have a legitimate gripe against the Democratic Party. A legitimate gripe. And I know he voted Trump, and I'll never excuse that. And anybody with half a brain cell should have been able to do the research to understand he wasn't going to do any of the things he said he was going to do. But I just want to focus on that legitimate criticism of the Democratic Party. Hey, what's up, Jacqueline Fiera? How are you? He would never support Trump, but would talk you in circles. Yeah, I'm not looking to get talked in circles. That guy he kept trying to talk me in circles. They never have any real facts. They don't. They literally have been brainwashed. Most of the things that he kept saying, I had to correct him. And I'm like, listen, here's the stats. Feel free to fact check me. I want you to fact check me. And it turned out to be a really good debate. So for anybody that wants to check out, that is available on the link in my bio. If you want to check out the debate, it's about 2 hours. Bernie voter turned Trump voter. I took him out to dry. I hung him out to dry. I did not pull any punches. I was just unwaveringly correct. That's just how I do. I like to be correct. I don't like to give bullshit. I offered citations and facts, and it turned out to be a very educational moment for him. And I'm wondering if he went home and looked up ranked choice voting, or when he got off TikTok. When you tell them to fact check, they won't. That is true. And fortunately for him, I was just spoon feeding him the facts. And he kept having to be like, well, I guess I'm just going to have to believe you. I'm like, feel free to look it up. And I knew he wouldn't. But knowing who he is and who he voted for, I was just spoon feeding him fact after fact. Just trying to explain to him the fact that he voted for the corporate backed billionaire, that now the top 1% are richer than they've ever been. Just, the fact that we used to have a tax code that was 91% for anyone that made over $200,000. Like, these are facts. And it's like in 1950, when they keep saying America was so great, we taxed the shit out of people. I mean, it was an effective rate of like 45, 55% after all the deductions, because back then you had way more deductions. So it wasn't ever actually like an effective 91%, but still it was like 10%, 15% higher than what it is now. And they didn't tax you until after the first $200,000. The first $200,000 didn't have that 91%. It was after, it was all the money after $200,000 that had the 91%. And back then, $200,000 was like a couple million. It was actually a lot of money for you to even hit that 91% tax bracket. And we don't have anything like that model. There is no top, you hit a maximum tax bracket where it goes into the 90s. We don't have anything like that. It doesn't exist. Not since the 50s. Crazy debate. It was a crazy debate. It would be fine if they gave us free healthcare. I would be fine with more taxes for that. Yeah, and at this point, I think we all would, but honestly, and this is my opinion, I don't have math to back this one up actually, but I'm pretty sure they should be able to give us free healthcare for what we pay now. Because we spend so much money on war. There's so much money going to Israel. There's so much money just like We have bases in other countries. Like, we don't need to have bases in other countries. And I don't know if you've seen, everyone's reporting about it. I got it as well. There are like texts going out from like AI texting poll things where they're like asking, what is your opinion on Israel? And like, do you understand the importance of having a military presence in the Middle East? And like how much I value having a military presence in the Middle East. And this was like an AI bot texting my phone. It was crazy. Oh, there's the raid train. Everyone, please be sure to, excuse me, please be sure to show up and support the raid train. Don't um, don't let me get embarrassed. Please make it look like I have chatters when they drop what's probably going to be hundreds of people into my chat. Don't have them drop it into an empty chat. Please don't let them drop it into an empty chat. Don't do it to me. Don't let that happen. Um Golly, what is up with my nose? Is it these little hair? It's probably these little hairs. Cause like I had these tiny little hairs like from the edge of my hairline surgery that are still growing that aren't fully out yet, and probably one of them keeps touching my nose, and I just don't know it. But I don't want to pluck it because then it'll have to grow all the way out again. And I'm trying to do these bangs because they're cute. Well, chat. That's all I've got. That's all I've got. I'm gonna go ahead and raid out. Um, I have a really important event to go to tomorrow that I did not know I was going to until literally right before stream. So if anybody's going to be at the Affordable Housing Symposium, sorry, what's the full name of this thing? Preservation and Partners Sustainability Symposium. I will see you there. Oh, yeah, I'm glad you're here too. If you haven't yet, please be sure to drop a follow. Be sure to check out the podcast available on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. The Substack newsletter will drop tomorrow. So for anybody that wants to get in on the Substack action, nothing's up yet. As I said, I'm building that. Just sort of complement the news for people that have a job stream that we've been doing every Monday. A text-based version will now be going out on Tuesdays. So again, please hit follow, share the stream with one person that you think needs to be here. Tell a coworker. Thanks all of you for being here. I really appreciate it. So if you want the Substack in your inbox, just go ahead and follow that link. One more thing before I get out of here. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I almost forgot this. We have the Pride shirt available for anybody that wants to celebrate Pride. This is only up for the month of June. The Pride shirt does support the Trevor Project. So any purchase of the Pride shirt, 15% of proceeds do go to the Trevor Project. So thank you so much for being here. I'm so glad you were. And don't forget, I'll be here tomorrow. Wait, actually, since that just got dropped in my lap, I'm so sorry to do this, chat. I didn't drop the schedule graphic yet. I'm probably gonna have to cancel tomorrow's stream. And I have a board meeting for the land trust on Thursday. So this week's only stream is gonna probably be Wednesdays. Wednesday, we'll have probably like a gaming stream. Maybe we'll do our review stream on Wednesday. I don't have any products sent to me from any of the new partners yet for unboxings, but we should be having some of those coming soon because I finally reached out to partners, chat. Hopefully we get sent some stuff. If not, maybe we'll just play some games, do some kind of review from some kind of indie game. But thank you for being here. I'm super grateful. Don't let the bastards grind you down. I'm Jamie Delphine. See you Wednesday.